So, we all remember Battlefront 2, and it did have a very troubled launch, but it still pulled through, becoming one of the best Star Wars games to be created by EA. And that's saying something because they didn't actually release a lot of games, but we can save that for later on. Battlefront 2's troubled launch era with the loot box scandal of 2017, which is now a shameless plug to a video I made a couple of years ago, so feel free to check that one out if you're interested. But the loot box scandal did leave Battlefront 2 in a bit of an odd position, as loot boxes were absolutely hated by everyone, and there's no beating around the bush about that. But Battlefront 2 became the poster child for that scandal, and it put a lot of people off of playing Battlefront 2 due to the fact that at the time it was kind of pay to win rather than play to win. But yeah, that's a whole other video that you can go check out. But getting back on track, I still play Battlefront 2 fairly consistently. Not every day or even every other day, but I still do hop into it fairly often. And this is on console and not PC, so there is no added benefit of having mods that added new created content like character packs, or even entire overhauls of the game. But just to clarify, this is not a review of Battlefront 2 in 2022. I've done that before, well, twice actually, because there are no new updates, meaning that there is no new content, and therefore the game has relatively stayed in the same state as it was when EA stopped all development on Battlefront 2, and instead thought it would be a very smart idea to move everything to Battlefield 2042. And yeah, we all know how that one went. And even saying that, with a Battlefront 3 that was being pitched by DICE and was shut down by EA because they want to make another Battlefront game, it's just really baffling how Battlefront 2 still has more of a consistent player base than Battlefield 2042, which was released way after. And that just shows that EA didn't really use the license that well. They released Jedi Fallen Order and Squadrons and then both Battlefront games, but apart from that, they didn't really release anything else. When saying that, obviously there is now going to be Jedi Survivor, which is a sequel to Jedi Fallen Order, but that's not even out yet, so it doesn't count. Saying this, it's been 2 years since Battlefront 2 has seen any type of content. The last update was Scarif, and we haven't seen anything else for the game since the live service portion of the game has been discontinued in favour of Battlefield, and yeah, that was a very smart move. But I'm going to stop trashing EA, even though they kind of deserve it, and just move on to Battlefront 2. Battlefront 2 is still thriving on the console side of things. I can't say very much for PC as I don't own one and I don't play Battlefront 2 on PC, which is very unsurprising considering I just said that I don't have a PC. Now, I rarely struggle to get into lobbies in Battlefront 2. Now, saying that, game modes like Starfighter Assault and basically anything with ships is quite barren, and you do have to wait just a little bit more time to get into those lobbies, but that doesn't mean that you won't still be able to get into them. So, the game mode is still populated, just not as much as the other modes. Most people are generally sticking to Galactic Assault, Supremacy, hero-based game modes, and Arcade, which is my personal favourite. And it is honestly great to see that matches are still populated and people are still playing the game fairly consistently. Now, the only thing that really stops me playing Battlefront 2 more than ever is just the fact that we've had the same content for such a long time, and it does get slightly repetitive, and I'm not gonna lie to you about that. Playing the same matches and playing in the same arenas, it does get slightly not irritating, that's the wrong word, it just gets repetitive, and even though that is the case, you can still have an absolutely fantastic time playing Battlefront 2, but I just preferably play it in shorter bursts rather than playing it for hours and hours and hours. And so yeah, don't get me wrong, you will still definitely have a great time if you hop into Battlefront 2, especially if you're going to be playing it for the very first time, and if you're a returning player, it is always good fun to just hop back in for a casual match of heroes versus villains, or even just a game mode in arcade. As arcade and heroes vs villains are generally the game modes I play above everything else, generally because I prefer more of a casual experience nowadays when it comes to Battlefront 2, and I just want to turn off my brain and just gun down some separatists, or even just have a 1v1 in heroes vs villains, even though people do not respect the 1v1 sometimes. However, in regards to content, obviously PC players are going to have much more replayability due to the fact that they get mod support on their platform. However, sometimes when playing Battlefront 2, I do often wonder about the content that was left on the cutting room floor due to Battlefield 2042 being the primary focus of DICE's time. And some of this content would have really made a difference, I think. There was Mustafar, Padme, which got changed to a different character, and you can tell that they just used the character model and just gave her a different outfit. And then Ahsoka and Ventress, which would have been absolutely amazing because we didn't have a dual-wielding hero in Battlefront 2, and it would have been really cool to see a diverse change in the gameplay style because of that, but I just try not to think too much about what could have been, and instead I just enjoy what we do have, as at least Battlefront 2 is in a way better position now than when it was at launch. Although there are still a few minor bugs, it still doesn't hinder the experience at all to the point where it's unplayable, and even me saying unplayable is just so untrue because the game is in a perfect position right now, and you don't need to worry about game-breaking bugs. So basically what I'm getting at is that Battlefront 2 is still a very fun game to play. The player base is still playing the game, so the game is not dead whatsoever, and that's just me attesting on the PlayStation side of things. I can't say anything for Xbox or PC because I'm not on any of those platforms, but I'm assuming that it is the exact same, as Star Wars fans are generally very persistent with what they like and what they don't like, and the general consensus is that we all love Battlefront 2. We just wish it could have been so much more, but instead, EA has to focus on their, Battlefield franchise, which is, going so well, just so well. And so yeah, Battlefront 2 is still a great game to play. I still enjoy it every time that I play the game. Having played it for a good couple of years though, my time with it does get a little bit shorter here and there. But generally, I still never scoff when my friends say, "Do you want to play Battlefront 2?" Because Battlefront 2 is always way better with friends. And so yeah, that is just, that's what Battlefront 2 is like now in 2022. It is still a fun and enjoyable game to play, and seeing as the player base is still consistent, that means that it's not a dead game and you don't just have to play arcade or an offline mode, even though those modes are available to you. And so yeah, let me know what you guys think. Are you still playing Battlefront 2 in 2022? Or have you abandoned it for another title, perhaps even the original Battlefront 2, which is still having major updates through mods and stuff like that, not anything official, but it's still booming either way. So yeah, let me know if you're still playing it in the comments section below, or even if you want to try it out for the first time. Just know that you will most definitely have a great time with Battlefront 2. So, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.